Hi, my name is Julie Waterbury, and as a early childhood educator for 24 years, I have come to a fork in the road during a time such as this, during a pandemic. Now, I was already preparing for a transition in life because I had felt in my spirit that it was time to make a move and change, but I didn't quite know where I was going. Because my background and my educational background paints a picture of someone with child development and community services, uh, you know, associate and bachelor's degree. But recently, something came to me when I realized that the teacher, it was just part of is a role that I play. And sometimes I got caught up in my label and the way that role made me feel. And now I've learned how to kind of turn my mindset around into the idea that my identity is not tied to my job. It's and for me, my identity needs to be my faith first, and everything else will turn out in the end. And that's when I discovered Just Be. So Just Be on its own stands for that understanding that we're called to. Sometimes we focus so much on the big, like, what do I want to be when I grow up? What job will I have? What money do I want to make? How do how many children do I want? Do I want to get married? Do I want to be single? All those kinds of things, right? But then there's that layer of, well, what happens when part of that is taken away? What happens if you suddenly woke up and your job was gone? What happens if your home was burned? What happens if you had a loved one that came down with COVID? All of a sudden, you would not be, your identity in your job would not make a difference. Right then, all that would matter to you is survival and making sure your loved one was safe. And then it wouldn't have mattered what training you had and what degree you had. So, my first test in how to shift our mindset came from when I started this business with Color Street. And my VIP page is called Just Be Nails by Julie. And my word page is called Just Be Words and Worship by Julie. And the whole, that page is just set aside for Just Be business options. Because I'm really looking into how to become a motivational speaker, how to help shift our pessimistic viewpoints into optimistic viewpoints, and be a resource to teachers, churches, and stay-at-home moms who struggle, or parents, doesn't necessarily have to be a mom, in these image things that are kind of what are more based on what other people think of us. And just being who we are meant to be is so important right now. And that's what I'm learning during this. And there are 4 tips that I've learned from being a Color Street nail stylist, which I just started about a month ago, in how we can shift our mindset. 1 is respond versus react. How we respond to a situation, to a person, to a decision, to something that's not going our way, all of that. There's a consequence to how we respond, negatively or positively, that will happen. It might not be that your mother puts you in timeout or, there's like some sort of consequence that way. But inside, eternally, it's hurting us. It's causing more cells to be overly stressed beyond what COVID is dealing with right now. Mental health is no joke, but there's still some basic things that we can do to try and help retrain our thoughts. And that comes from responding. The next is ready to learn. A lot of times we learn from our past mistakes and we put judgments on them, bad or good. A bad one would be, I failed a test. I didn't perform. I didn't get the I tried out for the honors choir. It was between me and this other person, and I didn't get the pick. So even though I didn't get the pick, I carried this bad feeling about it, even though I didn't do anything bad. And it wasn't really a bad thing. We just think it's bad if it's not me picked because it feels bad. So instead of saying bad or good and labeling it, instead we're going to learn from it. So there can be a good, like, I went and did lesson plans. I went and I got all my PowerPoints done for my parent-teacher conferences, and I'm all ready to go. And they went without a hitch. There was no complaints. That would be a good thing because no one was upset. There was no complaints. That would be a rainbow and sunshiny type life, wouldn't it? If there was no complaints, right? That's a good. But anytime there's a bad feeling about something, that is when you can shift it from bad to, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? Learning is so good for us. So it's time to stop saying bad about things that we've done wrong or things that we've carried for so long. Put those into the what can I learn from it? And if it's not going to help you grow positively, throw it away. Burn it. Don't cause a fire. Don't get the police involved. Get rid of it. It's so valid to have these feelings, but you don't need to carry them all your life. Bad feelings will creep up to you, and then they'll go off like a firework during a time like this. And then we wonder why there's so many riots and all sorts of things, because adults are teaching kids and modeling this stress. Stress is like a balloon, and eventually it bursts. But it is real. So it's important to note that it's real. And that takes me to number 3. Reserve energy. You can reserve your energy by only allowing positive things to flow through and being able to discern what's not positive for you. Gossip is not positive, people. It is not positive. It's a good draining opportunity. Also, ever get stuck on repeating the same story of something that was an offense that someone did to you? Or, have you ever been, stuck on a certain negative thought for months on end? An example, COVID. Okay, if we keep saying the same negative thoughts over and over and over again, we drain not only our energy, but the energy of those around us. And then we wonder, why are we only bringing people into our lives that have the pessimist viewpoint? Now, I'm not trying to shun people who are going through this time and having a challenge. I'm not saying that. But we can choose how we react, and we can look at every situation with an optimistic viewpoint. I tend to look to the Bible too. That is something I need. I know that I can't do this alone. And it's okay to say, I don't have it all together. But but make sure you reserve energy, positively ways, and don't exchange during a negative time. Now, if you need a chance to pick a couple friends that you can go to and say exactly how you feel, but then after you say it, you need to put that in a ball or write it down in a journal and then get rid of it. Get rid of it. Right now, I'm going through decluttering my house. I'm decluttering my house of things that are not necessary to keep any longer. I'm decluttering my mind thoughts too, of things that I don't need to hold on to anymore. I'm reconciling with those who I've wronged, and I'm making sure to keep the faith, because that needs to be first and foremost. And then radiate joy. Radiate joy. That there's a Bible verse that I love called, from James, that says, "Consider it joy, brothers and sisters, whenever facing troubles of many kinds." How can you consider a pandemic a joyful celebration? I can because I read the Bible. I can because I find ways. Music, singing, connection, talking to people on a phone or face to face, not just texting, gratitude journaling, calling a positive friend, laughter, keeping in touch with those who I know that need a kind word, and helping them to discover too the way to remove the baggage of pessimism and hardship into something we can become victorious together in. And it can produce a ripple effect that will change your work environment, your church life, your schools, and your heart. Quality of life is much better than the quantity. So if I lived 100 years and I had no quality, I would rather be 33, like Jesus. Quality is so much more important than quantity. And that also has to do with the time we get to see each other. Everything like that needs to be thought of in a quality mindset. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's first shot at motivational speaking 1. Just be. Thanks.